Welcome to the first PFF forecast of 2022. I had to break out a beanie for it. That's how special it was. It's freezing cold here. I'm trying to keep myself alive. We have a great episode here. There are two, count them, two epic rants coming your way. One on the Chiefs, which you just know it's going to happen. But we also have some Ramsplaining coming your way. We're going to talk about Burrow versus Mahomes, Ja'Marr Chase going bananas, what our biggest L of the week was, and of course, we're going to talk about Week 18 because we have one now, and we're going to guess the lines for the games that matter. And we have the schedule. Let's rock. I know that you really want to talk about the Sunday Night Football game that we just watched. That was really special. So people were giving Chris Collinsworth a lot of crap for talking about Sean Mannion, looking okay. Before the game started, there's no chance. The Vikings had no chance, right?
It was Mannion-splaining.
But yeah. But you got to try and – it's like -1 degrees outside. You've got to convince yourself somehow that you're not going to spend the next 3.5 hours watching a complete disaster. A complete disaster it was. So we will not spend that much time talking about that game. I did think it was funny they brought Kellen Mond in and then –
I heard that it was because Mannion hurt his hand. But it's like at that freaking point, like I don't know. I don't want to spend my energy on this team. This is an example – all of you folks, I got a lot of flack.
All of you folks.
I got a lot of flack from people, when we would put out some of our predictions and we'd say, like we had the Vikings as an 8-win team, or that's what our simulation had. Mm-hmm. People are like, I think this is a super talented team. I think this is a playoff team. And like I would just remind people, like, look, you don't even have to take PFF seriously. You don't even have to take. We said the same thing about the Steelers. You don't have to take our simulation seriously, my opinion seriously, but the market had you as an 8.5-win team, a 9-win team, depending upon where it closed, and had you as an underdog to make the playoffs. And that's exactly what happened. And you were funny, 8-8 against the spread this year. The market is a pretty good indicator of how good teams are. And that's all I'll say about that team.
And that was a bonus one. Mm-hmm. We didn't even think we were going to get to the Vikings. That was a bonus one.
Yeah.
The game of the weekend, probably the game that should have been on Sunday Night Football.
I was there, by the way, so I can evaluate it better than everybody.
This is what I'm waiting for.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Chiefs-Bengals. The Bengals at home, after a destruction of a depleted Baltimore Ravens team, were a significant underdog at home to the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs come out the gate. They're up 28-14. Mm-hmm. And they lose the game. What should be the biggest takeaway from that game?
It was good. And also this was another one where the betting markets opened Chiefs -3. It got bet out to 5.5. And then there was late sharp money. 3.5 was where it closed. Greenline had value on the Bengals for most of the week. I know we also had value on the under, so take that, I guess, because that game was not going. That game was not going under. How much credit do you want to give Zach Taylor for all this?
Well, it depends. Did he decide to draft Ja'Marr Chase or not? Because if Zach Taylor, we've given Zach Taylor a ton of crap this season. I think a decent amount of it is deserved. But if he was one of the people that went into the room with whoever was making the decisions in Cincinnati and goes, we're taking Ja'Marr Chase, then he deserves a fair amount of credit because Ja'Marr Chase was unstoppable. And you can put a lot of blame on the Kansas City Chiefs for just not adjusting to that. Yeah. But that pick, has turned their team around.
I sent this out on Twitter. I said, the thing about it was the Bengals we're ready to capitalize on the fat tail variance that Chase offered that a tackle simply does not offer, right? Like we all talk about bias and variance, right? And, for a long time this season, there were weeks, and I think there were weeks where Penei Sewell had generated more value than Chase. But when it comes down to winning look at even how the Chiefs played on Sunday. Orlando Brown, thankfully, was just like a minor calf strain, but he sat.
Yep.
Lucas Niang, who replaced him, tore his patella, and they take $16 million guard Joe Thuney and play him at left tackle, and he performs well against Trey Hendrickson. Like the distribution of outcomes on an offensive line are just thinner. Whereas Jamar Chase literally goes 12 for 266 and 3, and again, I'm going to give Zach Taylor some credit. I think he might end up winning Coach of the Year given everything. They were 25-1 to win this division. Ben Brown wrote it up on our website in the preseason, actually it was early in the offseason, and all that stuff, right? But the fact of the matter is, the person who deserves the majority of the credit for this Bengals team, and I think it becomes even more apparent after we've seen this year play out, where guys like Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Trey Lance are all kind of nightmares so far. The fact that Joe Burrow stepped into Cincinnati and last season in the 9 games he played well enough, not perfect, not great, but encouraging enough for the Bengals to say, all right, time to go, right? It was the same thing as, and I don't mean to bring this back to Kansas City, but it was the same thing that happened when Pat came in and he was sitting behind Alex Smith, and the Chiefs decided to go out and sign Sammy Watkins and to, extend Tyreek Hill and all this stuff. Joe Burrow coming in and giving everybody in that organization hope gives you the license to draft Jamar Chase at 5, gives you the license to, lure a guy like Riley Reif to come in and make it plausible to draft Jamar Chase at 5 instead of Penei Sewell. And so I think the biggest catalyst, and I'm looking positively at this game. I'm going to talk about the negatives with the Chiefs in a second. But the number one story of this game was how good Joe Burrow is and how much that Bengals team was ready to incorporate a player with the potential that Jamar Chase had.
I agree. Joe Burrow brings the type of attitude and professionalism to the Cincinnati Bengals that they're not used to having. So Andy Dalton is a professional, but he was not very good, unfortunately.
Yeah, he was over.
Joe Burrow is both very good and then takes it seriously, which just is not something that the Bengals have had. And you start to see it pay off. I mean, look, the numbers speak for themselves. He's the only quarterback with a PFF passing grade over 90 this season. That's not, people definitely were surprised when he took the number 1 spot in PFF grading. And there's, he takes a ton of sacks. And I think that's something that, honestly, that I looked at Zach Taylor on that. And I'm like, we've got to have a scheme here where he's not getting beat up as much. He holds on to the ball for a while. The dude has not missed a throw in the last 2 games. I mean, he just has not. He's had an on-target throw percentage of 85% in those games. Does not have a turnover-worthy play. I think has 8 big-time throws. Has been absolutely insanely good. I think the question, Joe Burrow has to be in the MVP conversation, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think the hard part is we've all anchored on Rodgers, and Rodgers has done nothing to lose it the way that maybe Brady did with a loss to the Washington football team or a loss to the Saints, whereas Rodgers earned the favorite spot and has never really relinquished it, and now he's going to sit out Week 18 probably,
right.
And it's sort of over for him. But yeah, I mean, look, I think Zach Taylor certainly earned another year. Has earned some respect. I also think the Bengals organization, which gets a lot of flack for being cheap, gets a lot of flack for being, dumb and all this stuff. I mean, they went for the right 4th downs this week. I mean, they played the Chiefs like a fiddle at the end of that at the end of the game from a management perspective. And I know that they have somebody in game who is talking to Zach Taylor, and the Chiefs don't. And that certainly showed up today at the end of the game, which I kind of want to talk about in a sec. But the other thing is, you look at that team and the competence, right? So you look at that secondary, which was a defense that couldn't stop anybody just a couple years ago. You look at Eli Apple, Chidobe Awuzie, Trey Waynes, Mike Hilton, Ricardo Allen, former starter for the Von Bell, a former starter for the Saints, and then that goes with Jesse Bates. Now, Trey Waynes hasn't worked, right? But they do what we asked. They throw numbers at the secondary, and for the most part, that secondary holds up most games. They go after Trey Hendrickson. I know a lot of us were like, well, you got the worst of the two edge guys by letting Carl Lawson go and getting Trey Hendrickson.
But Hendrickson's been great.
Trey Hendrickson has gotten the pressure rate, basically worthy of his sack rate so far this year. So they've done some things on that roster that are also fairly sharp. T. Higgins in round 2 of 2020. Like, there are some – this Bengals team, I want to give them a lot of credit. Before I come back and say how badly the Chiefs squandered an opportunity to earn the 1 seed in the AFC.
Okay, before we get to the Chiefs, let's stick with the Bengals here for a second. I remember very vividly when we did a mock draft last year and we had the Falcons taking Ja'Marr Chase, and the Falcons fans were completely up in arms. Now, Kyle Pitts has been very good. If you are redrafting, are you taking Pitts or Chase?
It's a good question. I would still say, well, Falcons, given everything we know now, I would take Chase, right? Because you also, like, the fact of the matter, and one of the reasons we defended this Falcons taking Chase thing, I mean, Calvin Ridley was playing fantastic football last year, and he was the highest projected wide receiver we had this year with the volume and stuff like that with Julio gone. But, like, the Falcons don't have the money to re-sign him, and nor would they re-sign him now. Like, he's done on his rookie deal. Where's the money going to come for the Falcons to sign him to a long-term deal as a wide receiver for their team?
Yeah, I don't. They have.
They're
in cap hell.
And their other receivers are Olamide Zaccheaus, Russell Gage, and I don't even.
Russell Gage Crow. Yeah. I mean, the answer is I don't even think it's like a debatable question. Like, it takes me 3 seconds to go, it's Ja'Marr Chase. The dude's an assassin. He's killing people out there. And he's beating – one of the cool things about Ja'Marr Chase is he is beating guys in a lot of different ways. The play he took to the house where there were like 10 Chiefs between him and the goal line, and he didn't even have to juke any of them out. He just ran straight past them. But he also just goes up and Randy Moss's guys left and right. He gets behind the defense really, really easily, creates separation there. It's Ja'Marr Chase. I think that there's a legit conversation. You look at Justin Jefferson has been absolutely amazing, his former teammate at LSU, over his first 2 seasons. But if you're thinking about young receivers, the best young receiver, I think, obviously we know Devontae Adams is the best receiver in the NFL. But if you're looking at the guys that are on their rookie contract, Ja'Marr Chase is 21 years old.
Yeah, there's
like, I think you could make a legit, if you're picking a guy on the rookie contract, I think it might be Ja'Marr Chase, as great as Justin Jefferson's been.
And interestingly, so we talk about Pitts. Like, I just want to bring it back and also appreciate Pitts. Kyle Pitts today was the second tight end in NFL history to go over 1,000 yards as a rookie.
He's been.
He had the one touchdown only this year because I think partly because the Falcons are kind of a bad team. But it's look, this could shape, and I don't mean to say this, but like from a perspective of a non-quarterback, like there was that one draft that had like Troy Aikman, Tony Mandrich, Barry Sanders, Deion Sanders, and Derek Thomas, and it's like, which one of these would you, and obviously Mandrich was the one, but like, at the end of the day, like Pitts could also be a unicorn someday. And Ja'Marr Chase, like we know the drops and stuff like that. There have been weeks where, the Bengals against the Ravens, he had the 200 yards, and then he didn't have over 80 yards for the next 7 weeks. And then he had the great game against the Ravens last week, and he had obviously the blow up here. Like, there's consistency issues, but the variance is what the Bengals are buying. And like, to me, that's exactly the thing about the wide receiver position. It's like, and I said this on the PFF live show this morning, which airs at 11 a.m. every Sunday. I said, I really hope that the Bengals play aggressive football today. I hope they don't I hope that their aggression against the Ravens was not just smelling blood in the water and saying, okay, now we can just do it because there's not a lot of downside. Because I said, like, that's the only way they can beat the Chiefs. They could get killed by the Chiefs playing that way, right? If a couple balls get intercepted or whatever, like you're gonna lose by 30. But that's your only chance to win was to lean on your quarterback, and I'm glad they did. Now, there was a few things in that game, and everybody's gonna come back. The first thing I want to say is a little bit of just because something's a reason a team lost or won doesn't mean it was the only thing, right? So when somebody mentions, hey, I don't like how Andy Reid, managed the end of the game, you're like, well, you're ignoring the refs. It's like, no, we're not ignoring the refs. The refs are going to happen or they're not going to happen, and you still have to call a reasonable end of game, right? And there were calls against the Chiefs. There was like a false start on the 3rd and 1 that wasn't called. There was the horse collar tackle, which wasn't a horse collar tackle. There was a pass interference penalty where the corner was the only one that turned for the ball. There was a number of issues in that game from the officiating standpoint. Be that as it may, Andy Reid, I don't understand how the Bengals get the ball back with, 6.5, 7 minutes left in that game after the Chiefs tie it with a field goal. Mm-hmm. And you aren't immediately thinking to yourself, especially given everything that happened, which was Jamar Chase was already over 200 yards on you. Daniel Sorensen was playing one half of the field deep, way too much in that game. I was there. I saw it. Was there.
Your own eyes.
And the one touchdown was an absolute joke of Daniel Sorensen taking angles. I don't understand, if you're Andy Reid, how you look at that team and that performance today and say to yourself, our best chance to win is to give Patrick Mahomes the least amount of this time of the 7 minutes left. And then the other thing I don't get is it's 3rd and 27 around the 40-yard line. And you're so hell-bent on not giving up a short completion and a field goal there that you rush 8 and put poor Charvarius Ward's a 7th-round pick by the Dallas Cowboys, traded for a backup guard, and he's trying to fucking cover Jamar Chase one-on-one for the 8th time.
That was the one where that was the inexcusable one. The refs will happen, and the Bengals got the best of that, without a doubt. You still had a chance. 3rd and 27, Super Bowl winning teams do not let you pick up 3rd and 27.
I know.
I mean, if you're going to pick up 3rd and 27, do it with someone other than Jamar Chase.
Yes. And make Tyler Boyd.
Make CJ Uzomah beat you.
But the other part of it was then they were so hell bent on not giving up a touchdown. They basically wanted the Bengals to kick a field goal at the end there.
Yeah. So let's go to the 4th down.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's 4th and a yard on the goal line. Game is tied, and Zach Taylor is going for it. First off, you like that decision by Zach Taylor?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Well, I mean, if you don't make it,
a lot of people perplexed on Twitter.
If you don't make it, the game's going to overtime because the Chiefs are backed up enough where you basically have to run a couple sneaks. And
Chiefs had no timeouts.
Chiefs had no timeouts. So there's that. So if you miss it, but here's the other thing, and this is what nobody prices in, and this is also why they kind of ran bad because when Mixon ran for the pass to Chase was out of bounds to the 11. That was key because then the next couple plays, Mixon went for 5 yards and Mixon went for 4 yards. They had a 3rd and 1 at the Kansas City 2. Yep. Right outside the 2-minute warning, the Chiefs had already taken their first time out. That was I think the point in time where you had to decide if you give up a first down here, you give up a touchdown. Mm-hmm. You get the ball back in Patrick Mahomes' hands with timeouts left and with time left on the clock. Because the fact of the matter is, and they were lucky to get the stops. They were lucky to get it to 4th down. But once they got to 4th down, and this is what nobody priced into their calculations, after they've given up timeout after timeout, second after second on the clock, you've been called for penalties on literally every incomplete pass, basically the entire second half. If you get called for any sort of penalty in that game, the first 4th down, they got freaking lucky that they were offsetting, that they got to play 4th down again. If you get called for any, and this is where I got up and I told Dave, we were similar, I'm like, this penalty's on the Chiefs, the game's over, and I started leaving because when you get called for like illegal contact in the back of the end zone, it goes to first down. It's an automatic first down, and the Bengals have complete control over this thing. They take a knee, they spike the ball or whatever they have to do if they don't have any timeouts, and they kick a field goal, and your game's over with, right? And that was always the thing I didn't understand. That could have happened on first down. Like the Bengals could have taken 2 of your timeouts, got you to third down, thrown a fade to Chase. Charvarius Ward tackles him, and the game's over again. Yeah. Like you don't even get the benefit of those plays either. And so that was why it didn't make any sense. And it wasn't your fault that Chase got tackled at the 11 instead of the 10. But once that happened, you had to know, okay, you get like 1 or 2 chances to stop Joe Mixon and then live to fight another day. The reason you have Patrick Mahomes is so you don't have to worry about that shit, right? Like if Sean Mannion's your quarterback, yeah, try to get a stop. But if Patrick Mahomes is your quarterback, keep time on the clock and let him answer.
Dude, you know what was so surprising to me is that Mahomes played so well in the first half. They had that big lead at halftime, 14-point lead at halftime. Burrow outplayed Mahomes in the second half. I think for the totality of the game, you can say, look, Mahomes had the better game, I think maybe by a hair or so if you want to. Pretty even. I think PFF grading tomorrow after review will be pretty close. But Mahomes had 2 turnover-worthy plays that were not particularly pretty.
Mm-hmm. One should have been a touchdown. Yeah.
Burrow did not have any and outplayed him in the second half. And that's something that's so surprising. And I think that's why the playoffs are going to be so exciting this year, because there really is no team that you feel like just can't be beaten. I mean, the Chiefs a couple years ago had that where it didn't matter how far down they got, they were coming back and they were winning. But there's just not a team like that this year. Before we get to the Los Angeles Rams, reminder, you can use promo code FORECAST, FORECAST, to get 25% off any PFF subscription. That includes PFF Elite, which gives you all of the great PFF content, plus access to the college and NFL betting dashboards. Yes, there is still a game. Actually, there's 2 games in college football, I think, remaining. Access to 0 to 100 grades for every single player, every single week, the player props tool, the best bets tool, and a hell of a lot more. DFS Optimizer included. Forecast, FORECAST, 25% off any sub. And if you want to tell us, it's not too late, what features at PFF you would like to see on PFF.com when you get a subscription, email us at contact, CONTACT, at PFF.com. Tell us what feature you love the most and what feature you'd most like to see, and we'll put it on the wish list for 2022. I'm curious. Matt Stafford. What if I told you that
I would believe it.
Matt Stafford's PFF grade this year is his lowest he's had in 3 years? What if I told you that his big time throw rate is lower than it's been in 3 years? What if I told you that this is the first year that he's had over 20 turnover-worthy plays?
This is like a Kelly Clarkson song.
I guess I say this all
What
to
if
say,
I told you it was all meant to be?
I'm looking at the Rams. They've been pretty healthy all year.
Yep.
And I'm just curious whether they would be in any of a different spot, if not even a better spot with Jared Goff.
I don't know. We got roasted pretty bad for saying that Goff had more WAR over the last few years, and a lot of it was Stafford being hurt, but a lot of it is do you think that with some of these quarterbacks, and look, going into today's game, Stafford averaged 8.1 yards per attempt. That was right now on pace to be his second best season after the Darrell Bevell year in 19. 36 touchdowns is second best mark so far this year. 13 interceptions is, it's going to, after today, going to be on the higher half of his career. But yeah, I mean, I think he's regressed substantially. I think he's been injured a little bit, which will provide cover. But I also think that Sean McVay is not a guy who can foster brilliant quarterback play. I think and this remains to be seen about Shanahan. I actually think more highly of Shanahan. But I think it remains to be seen whether or not he can cultivate elite quarterback play. Because there's aspects, and we know this, we both manage people, and there are some managers who can't allow people the freedom to work, right? And because that's a flaw in their management style. And then there are people who are more chill and they get different sets of, take Zach Taylor, for example. Zach Taylor allowing Joe Burrow to be Joe Burrow, like, is probably saving his job, and it's probably not comfortable. Matt LaFleur allowing, building a structure for Aaron Rodgers to have success. Andy Reid was that way with Favre in Green Bay and McNabb in Philadelphia, and like, though that's a character trait that maybe Sean McVay doesn't have.
Well, hold on for a second. I think this is so. I thought it was naive to think that Matt Stafford was going to take the next step at this point in his career, as if like he had been in a place that had no wide receiver talent ever.
Yeah,
like you only have the best wide receiver we've seen in the past 25 freaking years.
But he's generating one of the best wide receiver years in NFL history out of Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp. But everyone assumed that the reasons that Matt Stafford, I mean, everyone looked at Jared Goff and goes, "Oh man, this guy makes so many boneheaded plays. Thank God Matt Stafford won't make those."
Yeah, that's not the reality we live in.
What are you like? What are we talking about here? Those things, I think it's surprising to have expected McVay to get rid of. To be perfectly honest, like McVay's supposed to change the guy at age 30, 34, 35?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think so.
Because I actually think McVay is doing a wonderful job. Guys are running wide open across the middle of the field. But every once in a while, and not every once in a while, pretty frequently, Matt Stafford just throws the ball right to the other team and gives him a touchdown.
Yeah.
They barely beat Tyler freaking Huntley and one of the most banged up teams in the NFL.
Well, and that was because Huntley sort of like gave them a pick that was an end and a half sort of deal there. I'm
sorry, but like,
I'm not blaming it all on McVay. I'm just saying like this idea that like McVay, because like all the stuff all the Ramsplaining during the offseason where McVay was going to Salt and Straw, and he was sitting there.
Don't you dare besmirch the good name.
I'm not besmirching it, but he would go and be like, "Look, I want a waffle cone with some cookie dough ice cream." And by the way, like I have to do this for Jared when he fucking comes here too. And like that was like his he's like, I have to tell Jared what to do all the freaking time. Like he literally found a way to talk shit about Jared Goff at every turn. And like, oh, this guy Matt, I mean, he's
he's just perfect.
And then he realizes
he gets me.
She realizes the new boyfriend also doesn't put the lid down in the middle of the night, and it's like it's not the same. Like it's like that was the whole thing that like was nauseating to me. And again, look, let's back the truck up for a second.
Yeah.
The Rams.
I thought you were gonna start singing Olivia Rodrigo right there.
The Rams control their own destiny for the second seed in the NFC. Like
that is true.
There has been team level success here that is not pretty, right? Like they barely beat this Vikings team that's now 7-9 again, and they barely beat the Ravens, who were 7-point underdogs because Tyler Huntley's starting. Like this is sort of, and like there have been teams that have done this, right? Like the 2012 Ravens limped into the playoffs, won a division, but looked like crap doing it, and then they go and run the table and win the Super Bowl. So this is not disqualifying the Rams.
Oh no, and in such a wide open year.
And they've put themselves in position. Obviously, they're not going to overcome Green Bay for the 1 seed, but they could get the 2 seed. And the 2 seed in the NFC is facing like the Eagles, right, or the Niners. That's interesting, by the way. Like week 18, do the Rams want to dump one? I mean, I don't know, but.
Not against Trey Lance.
Well, and the Niners have had their number for years, so like that's maybe not what they want to do. But
no, they definitely don't want to face the Niners in the playoffs. Let's be very clear.
So all this stuff about the Rams, where they've sort of like done it a different way, and then you come up for air, and they had the 3-game losing streak, they had the bad loss to Arizona, but all told, they're 12-4, and they have a shot to do some great things here. I would, if you polled basically anybody we respect, would any of them give the Rams a chance in hell of winning the Super Bowl? I think the majority would say no, but like they're right there. It's crazy. It's weird.
Yeah, but you look at like the Cowboys are still one of the most insane things. As bad as Matt Stafford has played, which is, I mean, he's been average, but I mean, has not turned into Tom Brady as some would have predicted. Mm-hmm. But you look at Dak Prescott, and Dak Prescott has, I think, 11 turnover-worthy plays in his last 5 games. Has not been playing great football. they lose to the Cardinals today. Their one really impressive win was against a team that was fighting each other on the sideline. So, like, you know, take that for what you will.
Right.
The Bucs, I mean, you have to be very concerned if you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneers futures holder, because no Chris Godwin.
By the way.
Right. No Chris Godwin is a huge loss. Antonio Brown, when he's on the field, is a wide receiver one and is a huge benefit to Tom Brady. It's been Tom Brady's most popular target when he's on the field. He's now checking himself into a clinic. And by the way, I hope he gets the help he needs. I mean, that sucks. But they're in trouble, because if Mike Evans is hampered and they're relying on like Cyril Godson and Rob Gronkowski, they're in trouble. So yeah, the NFC is wide open. Let's do quickly take the L, and then we'll get to week 18. Biggest L of this week was what for you?
Well, so we went 3-0 on teasers, 0-3 on picks.
It was a nightmare.
After a week, we went 2-0 on picks, and like pretty good on teasers as well. Like basically, anyway. My biggest L, and this is college football. So if anybody watches the college football live show, 11 a.m. every Friday. I think maybe we'll do one the Monday of the college football playoff. I obviously nailed Alabama minus 13.5. Lando Lakes, thanks for coming to get us. We're going to dump Anthony Tresh and Butter. I am going to eat Skyline Chili because they were even in it to begin with. So there's two bets where we split them. I think I get the better of the two, although I've never had Skyline Chili before, so it remains to be seen. The biggest L, I thought Michigan would be fucking competitive against Georgia. Georgia came out there and the first drive I knew. Like I was at the sports book with our colleague Ben Brown, and like after the first drive, I'm like, all right, let's get the check. Like I just like, this is over. Like, and they were like, Michigan had no prayer in that game, and it makes me reevaluate all my thinking now that Georgia's a 3-point favorite against Bama in the Natty. Was it just one bad game for Georgia? You know, because I'll say this, Alabama covered that game, and they covered some alts. They didn't look great in that.
Yes, they did not look great, which is why I'm so excited to take Alabama as an underdog once again.
And for the very same, we were talking about this off air upstairs, but it's kind of that same like Arizona Cardinals idea, right? Where like there's no reason the Cardinals would have gotten 6.5 points like a month ago in Dallas. And, you know, you got a good value there with that, a pick that Greenline really liked this week. So that was my L for the week.
Yeah, Michigan was a bad one. I was on Michigan as well. So that stunk. It would have been nice to see Michigan, like, show up so we didn't have to see the same game happen over again, but oh well. My biggest L of the week. Look, I said this last week. I thought that Cincinnati beat a really banged up Ravens team, and that we shouldn't overreact to it, and that Kansas City was going to come in and win handily. And at halftime, I was like, see, I told you so. And, it didn't happen. So that was definitely my biggest L. I bought it, at 3 last Saturday, and thought I was in a great spot. You know, it started moving pretty significantly, ended up at 3.5. But you win some, you lose some. That's what happens.
You live to
All right, we're going to get to week 18. They have announced the schedules. Obviously, it's going to be Oakland, San Diego.
So I got a text from my friend Jeff Chadia. I was like, it's Oakland, San Diego Sunday. And he goes, the Padres? And I go,
Yes.
have the Chargers really earned the Los Angeles label yet?
Tony Gwynn is going to be on Sunday Night Football. Before we get there, as you roll into 2022.
Ooh, like roll.
There are New Year's resolutions that might particularly benefit some men out there. One of them is to stay trim, stay clean. Let 2022 be your cleanest year ever.
Yep. Cleanliness, important.
Next to godliness, actually. Cleanliness is next to godliness, which I used to always think was really funny. And now as an adult, I don't think there's anything that's ever rung truer for me in my life, which is that.
You think you get closer to God the closer that razor gets to your balls?
No, but like how much I appreciate cleanliness.
I see.
You know, and just as you know, a trait that people have. Anyways, Manscaped is here to help you nail that trait because they have, with promo code PFF, 20% off plus free shipping, and they have the Performance Package 4.0, which comes with not only the Lawnmower 4.0, which is the thing that keeps you clean and safe with advanced skin-safe technology that reduces cuts and nicks. It's not cut me once, and extra long battery life, but also comes with their new ultra premium body wash, which you can check out. I told people that I'm going to use it. I haven't used it yet, but I continue to use Lawnmower 4.0. I vouch for it. Extra long battery life, has a light built in,
Nice.
Incredibly easy to use, and you can use it. It's I don't know if it's waterproof, but it's water resistant. You can use it in the shower. Anyways, new year, new you, 2022, Manscaped. PFF is the promo code at manscaped.com, 20% off.
New Year, New Me was a segment on
Yes,
the
that
first.
we did. I think we should bring it back
I get it.
on Wednesday. Okay, week 18, we are on to it. So the Saturday games, Chiefs-Broncos, Cowboys, and Eagles. So both these games will kind of matter for these teams here, right? Because the Chiefs can they can still get the 1 seed if somehow the Titans lose to the Texans, which a couple weeks ago you might have said crazy, no way it's going to happen.
Actually happened.
Like there's a chance that happens again, right?
Like Tennessee lost at home to Houston.
Yeah, but like
now they outgained them like 2-1 and all that crap. But like it happened.
It can happen. So this game will matter. The Eagles are already in the playoffs. The Cowboys, after that loss, now still hoping to improve seeding. So both these games do kind of matter.
The Philadelphia one. So somebody in the chat, by the way, thank you for joining us this late on a Sunday night, Monday morning.
Appreciate you all.
Said that the Niners had the 6th seed wrapped up. That is actually not correct. The Niners don't even have a playoff seed.
That's true. They can
they can still not make it.
Yes, because
and in
of
fact,
New
they
Orleans.
also could, they could alter the Rams because if they beat LA and then Arizona wins and Arizona wins the NFC West back from the dead, so there's a ton of different things that could happen here. But yeah, but the Philadelphia Eagles could in fact change seeding too, right?
Yes.
Because if the Niners lose and fall out of the playoff race, or even if they lose and Philadelphia wins and New Orleans loses to Atlanta,
right,
then they could flip seeds. So that game matters. It does sound though as if there's rumors that the Eagles are just going to rest everybody and they just take who they end up with. I don't think that's particularly smart. I think you want to improve seeding when you can. In the off chance that, for example, you get a 6 and 7 NFC Championship game, you could host it.
Right. Or that you don't have to end up going, to play the better seed. That's an easy one. Okay. So what did you have? Let's go with Chiefs-Broncos first. What did you have this one at?
I said 9.5, Kansas City.
Okay. I have 10.5.
It is 10 on Pinnacle, basically squared up.
Okay.
Do you think Denver has nothing to play for? I don't know if they'll play Bridgewater or Locke. Locke was horrendous.
Look,
today.
they have nothing to play for. They have a lot to play for, which is Vic Fangio's trying to keep his job. They're going to come out and play hard, right? There's no doubt about it. What are they resting for? The fucking.
Well, the problem is they're already not going to be above 500. They've already gone under the win total, cha-ching. And the
but my point is they're actually going to come out and play.
Fangio will want them to, right? Like the same way Zimmer.
Let's not do this again, okay? Let's not do this again.
Okay. Do you think the Kansas City Chiefs comfortably cover this game? They have not lost an AFC West game on the road since Patrick Mahomes became the quarterback.
You think it's going to be Drew Lock? Actually, it doesn't matter who it is. The Broncos
total
stink.
on this game is 44.5.
Absolutely stink.
Total on this game 44.5 feels weird, right? Doesn't it feel like I don't know if you were a fan of football back then, but in 1999 there was a game where Brett Favre had to basically, it was one of those win and then hope for help later in the day thing, and against the Panthers he put up 50. He just kept the Chiefs are in the playoffs, so like they're not going to do that. But the total on this game being 44.5, that's just purely Denver being terrible on offense, right?
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
I think we stay away from this game. I don't know if we're going to have any early bets because we don't have a ton of information on who's playing whom. If you did, however, follow us on Wednesday and you took the Packers, Cardinals, and then the Detroit ATS or money line,
you're in a nice spot. By the way, when they played early December in Kansas City, 22-9.
Total on the game was 48, which we took. That was our lock of the week 1 week.
Yeah, and it went under, obviously.
Went under easy.
I think this moves out, to be honest with you. Cowboys, Eagles in Philadelphia. I have the Eagles getting 4 points in this game, assuming the Eagles are actually playing their players.
I said Dallas would be minus 2.5.
Okay. I do not see this on.
I did see it somewhere on Twitter where it said like basically Philly was +1. This is one where it's not necessarily clear that either team is going to be at full strength.
Yes, and I'm not sure. Yeah, I saw 1.5 before Sunday Night Football kicked. So if you can find it, I feel like you have to take Dallas there, right? Unless there's someone that thinks that Dallas can't be resting
Dallas
players.
killed. But this is how far Philly's come. Remember, Philly was 3.5 point underdogs in Dallas week 4 and got absolutely murdered. And now
maybe there's some thought that I guess just like the Cowboys can improve their seeding.
But it's a windy path, right?
Yeah.
You need basically San Francisco to beat the Rams. But even so take this for example. San Francisco beats the Rams, and Arizona wins, and they're tied with Arizona.
Yep.
Then Dallas, by virtue of the loss today, literally is losing a seed to the tiebreaker for the Cardinals, and then the Bucks have an easy one, I believe, against Carolina this week.
Yep.
Although they almost lost to the Jets, so what's easy for them? And the Cowboys the Cowboys lose the tiebreaker to Arizona and Tampa Bay, right? So, there are not that many permutations when.
Yeah, I think the incentive is more about like working out
playing
some
better,
kinks, just like play better against a team that actually
Good
cares. Okay, we now get to the Sunday games. We do not know, I don't believe, unless it's come out, the actual ordering of the non-Sunday Night Football games.
It does look like there are some of these that are assigned on Pinnacle, but you're right. I mean, let me look at NFL Jesus here. It doesn't have them listed yet.
Okay.
Interestingly.
So we're going to kind of go through these like matter, doesn't matter. If it doesn't matter, I say we just like skip over it. Like there's no
Unless there's a Okay, I like it.
No point in talking about it. Packers Lions. This one doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean,
so
Dan Campbell's team will play hard, but it's probably super baked into the line. You'll have to listen to the news on Jordan Love. If Aaron Rodgers plays a series or two, all bets are off.
Yeah, I mean,
I said plus 3.5 after I changed it after what happened tonight.
Assuming that Jordan Love plays.
Assuming it's Jordan Love versus either Tim Boyle or Jared Goff. Tim Boyle did score 29 points today against Seattle. But they gave up 51. So
yeah.
Amon St. Brown has caught like 8 passes or more. St. Brown has caught eight passes or more the last 5 games. Armon Ra St. Brown. Fuck you.
We're getting there.
And we're getting there.
We're
it's
getting
late.
There. Colts. If Rodgers played, it was going to be 14.5. If Jordan Love plays,
it was 11 going in because I knew that because I did that parlay.
Here's one interesting thing: if Jordan Love plays, does that mean they should be resting Adams as well, right?
They should be resting every starter on that team.
Everybody,
and they should use.
So I'll say this: if they're playing a bunch of backups in Jordan Love, and the Lions are more than 3.5 point underdogs with Jared Goff, I will take the Lions.
Yeah, of course.
Just saying. Colts, Jaguars. This one does matter The Colts, if they happen to lose this game, could be out of the playoffs.
Yes, there's a path where they don't make the playoffs.
So this game does matter. I have the Jaguars getting 10.5 points at home. And
I said 14.5.
Yeah, it's 15.5.
Yeah, I mean the Jag. So who's the worst team in the NFL, and why is it a battle between the Jags and the Giants?
This isn't some clown show, Eric. We're building a culture here.
The Giants.
I'm receiving phone calls from people at other teams telling me how much they wish they were here. The Joe Judge press conference was
Have you ever seen Hall Pass?
Yeah.
You know when the guy, the barista at the coffee shop is yelling at like Owen Wilson, your beanie and that demeanor looks exactly like that guy in that movie.
There's a 50-50 chance that I am either going to, you're going to order a cappuccino, and I'm going to give you art
in the cappuccino,
or that I'm going to show up at the coffee shop and play for you a combination of the greatest angsty hits that you've ever heard live in the coffee shop.
The sexual repression is heavy in those
okay?
hits.
And then I'm going to go hit on a random person there who's journaling for the 15th straight day.
Right,
okay?
I just reminds me I haven't been to 12:15 in forever.
That's the look that I'm catering right now.
The Jags are horrendous. And
yes, this is true.
Does Jonathan Taylor run for 250? Like, where is Taylor as far as rushing yards? Oh, by the way, he went over 100 today. They did not win. It does seem like a theorem has been disproven.
Yes, that is really it's like showing that gravity doesn't exist.
So
they were 9-0, by the way. One of the best stats you'll ever see. The Indianapolis Colts were 9-0 in games that Jonathan Taylor had rushed for over 100 yards. They had lost every single game that he had not rushed for over 100 yards, which translates to it is easier to win games when you are winning than it is to win games that you are losing.
Yeah.
Today it did not work. Over 100 yards.
So
no
he's at right now 1,734 yards. Now I know a 2,000-yard season doesn't mean as much now because it's 17 games.
They will try and get it for him.
They will try to get that for him.
Yes, and the Jaguars might let him. By the way, we get now to the Washington football team and the New York football Giants. This game does not matter.
Does not.
However, Mike Glennon is on pace to be the only quarterback this year with a PFF passing grade below 20.
I love it.
19.2. He was atrocious. Dropped back to pass 11 times. 4 times he committed a turnover-worthy play. That's a turnover-worthy play rate of 23%, the highest in a single game in the entirety of the NFL this season. However, the quarterback with the second worst grade in a game, Carson Wentz, he won that game.
A privilege.
Bears Vikings.
No.
This game also does not matter, but I found this to be really funny. They asked Mike Zimmer, joyful Mike Zimmer. They said after the game, Courtney Cronin, at Courtney R. Cronin on Twitter, does Mike Zimmer want to see Kellen Mond next week in the season finale? Quote, not particularly. Why? Quote, I see him every day.
I can't see that's somebody that's somebody who just sucks. I don't like. You're gonna get this now, I guess. Okay, so.
Oh no, we don't need this.
Why I don't? This is what I don't fucking get. Okay, if you have a Kirk Cousins as your quarterback, and you're either committed to winning.
You've got 30 seconds. It's 12:25.
Why the hell are you drafting a guy in the 3rd round? And if this is literally the game for him to play, he's not prepared. He either sucks so bad that in fucking 15 weeks you can find out that a 3rd-round quarterback's that terrible, in which case you're terrible at evaluating, or, and this is what I think is more true, your coaching staff was simply not committed to developing a quarterback you took in round 3. In either event, everybody's got to be fired.
And we move now to the Carolina Panthers and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So the Bucs do have a reason to play this game.
Yeah. That brings me back to the T.O. comparisons to Antonio Brown, by the way.
And that, speaking of Antonio Brown, O.J. Simpson released a video calling what Antonio Brown did inexcusable.
Look, you're killing this team. The culture on this team is dead.
This is some clown show, Eric.
This is some clown show. You completely murdered this team. If I did it,
this is how I would have done it.
I would have gotten dragged out of the league.
If I did.
Oj, just sit this thing out, man. Sit out opinions.
No,
if you get out of
don't, because it gives us a little bit more life. Inexcusable. I want.
It's
O.J.
like Kevin Spacey. Did Kevin Spacey
takes.
do the weird Christmas video this year? He didn't.
No, I don't.
Thank God. Like there are some people who, and I don't, cancel culture, whatever. But it's like sit the next couple plays out. Oj, come on, man.
Inexcusable. You can't do that. That's ridiculous. Okay, where are we here? So Buccaneers, Panthers. I have the Bucs favored by 10.5 in this game.
I said the Bucs would be favored by 16.5 at home against Carolina. Carolina's wretched.
They are not very good. It was -9.
Why? The Bucs are just
so
deflated?
The Bucs are super banged up.
Yeah, we did make them lock of the week. That did lose.
Yeah, that was brutal. I apologize. That's actually the biggest L of the week. I'm sorry.
The Falcons even fucking covered.
I know.
Think about that. I was being a good friend, but I really wasn't.
And the Cardinals.
We
were adjacent.
It
was inexcusable. What it was.
Killed our opportunity for a good week.
I originally had 9.5 here, and I changed it to 10.5 because I then watched the Panthers play, and the Panthers are not good at football, as you just said. But the Bucs are really banged up, man.
It's not available on Pinnacle.
I will say this. Tom Brady still deserves the MVP for the totality of what he's done this season. And he had I thought Chris did a good job of outlining this. Like, he had a terrible game against the New Orleans Saints. Absolutely. So did Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers came at the beginning of the season. Tom Brady's came at prime time. But Tom Brady has been absolutely incredible this year once again and is, in my opinion, the most valuable player in the NFL. That's not just because I bet it. That would be inexcusable. Patriots-Dolphins. This game does matter. The Patriots actually can.
They have not clinched yet, right? No, they
have clinched, but they could get the 1 seed. Now, it would require a lot going on, and the Bills would have to lose to the Jets. But nonetheless,
Dolphins, they also want to. They also probably. So, if you're the Pats, do you want the 5 seed, and do you match up well with the Buffalo Bills?
The answer is no. I do not want to face Josh Allen in the playoffs.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's tricky. But yeah, they have to play hard, and the Dolphins are not technically eliminated, although for all intents and purposes
they are. I have the Dolphins getting 4.5 at home.
I said 6.5.
It is 5.5. Split the difference. Juiced towards you. -5.5 is -112 on Pinnacle.
By the way, totals so far this week: 44.5, 44, 43, 39, 40, 45.5, 40, 48, 44.5, 48.5, and then these find yourself teasable lines this week because unlike any other week, especially when it's two teams that have nothing to play for, it's get in, get out, get on with your life type of situation.
Saints-Falcons. This game also matters because the Saints can make the playoffs here. I have the Falcons at home getting 3 points.
I said the Falcons would be getting 2.5.
They're getting 4.
I know.
It is juice the other way.
do we double dip on Falcons here, or do we? Because Falcons win, and it's like if you've ridden with us to the Falcons going over 7.5 road
iron
over 7.5 wins. Do you take like a minus 200 on the Saints to hedge? I don't know if I would. I actually think the Falcons went on the road to face the Saints in the first Trevor Siemian start. They were 6-point underdogs, won that game outright. And I know Taysom Hill's beaten them twice. I know Taysom Hill just was able at home to go ahead and beat, the Panthers.
The great Sam Darnold.
But here's the thing: Falcons first-year head coach who's not getting fired, first-year GM who's not getting fired. Like I do think that they're gonna be all hands on deck here, don't you think? Or do you think they're gonna be playing for a draft position?
Oh man, I don't think Matt Ryan is letting them play for draft position. I'll say
amen.
So yes, I do like the Falcons. Titans Texans. This game does matter. The Texans can lock up the 1 seed if they win this game.
Titans.
Sorry. Yes. What do you have us at?
Tennessee minus 14.5, which is way too many.
I had 13.5.
It is.
It is.
And this is for Chiefs Kingdom here. Tennessee minus 11. So it's not as big of a lock, maybe.
I kind of agree with that. So that you could have seen the Titans, should have been able to see the Titans beating the brakes off the Dolphins from a mile away. The Dolphins had played a cupcake schedule, and
Greenline liked the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, it was all all roads led there. Now they're going on the road. The Texans. Man, this would worry me. I got to be honest. I don't like it at 11. I would have preferred the 13, 14, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Steelers Ravens. This game probably doesn't matter, but could matter for the Steelers. So if the Steelers win tomorrow,
the Ravens are eliminated, right?
Yes. Ravens are eliminated, but the Steelers
5 straight losses, just real rough.
Not great.
Minus 2-point differential too now.
I had the this game doesn't really matter. So we're talking about it. It's not going to be up because the Steelers are playing. Jets Bills. This game does matter. I have the Bills favored by 17.
16.5.
And it is 16.5 minus 112. So basically what we just said.
Zach Wilson, not good again today, but not awful, right? Just
congrats. Hang the banner.
Just kind of whatever. Almost got a dub.
Best player in the Jets is Braxton Berrios. Bengals Browns.
Yeah.
This game.
My mock draft, by the way, PFF.com, still up on the site. I had the Jets taking 2 defensive backs right away because I think they need.
Interesting. No quarterback. Okay. Bengals Browns. This game will not matter for the Browns. They've been eliminated. Could matter for the Bengals. They could theoretically still actually get the 1 seed. Now, would you play Joe Burrow if he's a little banged up?
He was banged up during the game, wasn't he, a little bit?
Also, the way he plays just worries me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, and also the ACL from last year.
I'm just going to say this. I would sit everybody.
Yeah. Well, especially considering, like.
Now, Zach Taylor is a disciple of
Sean McVay, who sat at
Sean McVay is literally searching for opportunities to sit people.
Yeah.
So
except for Stafford, he hasn't thought about sitting him down.
Okay. What do you have this one at? I don't know that it matters.
I said -3. Cleveland. Well, Cleveland. I actually did see this. Cleveland is favored by like 3, and I do think that there is some. I did see a market where they were favored by 3.5. I do think that there is some thought that the Bengals are just considered.
That means that the Bengals are sitting people. Okay.
It was to be fair, Cleveland was -1.5 going into the week, but they were -3.5 tomorrow night until they were eliminated. Now they're +1. So there might be some market movement based upon not just the strength of the teams, but also the motivation.
All right, we have 3 remaining games that matter. Before we get there, DraftKings and DraftKings Sportsbook is where you need to go if you are looking to bet on anything. National Championship, Week 18, playoffs, whole deal. They've got you covered, and they have an unbelievable offer for you if you use promo code PFF, and you are a new customer. You bet $5 on any football team to win their game. They do, you'll get $200 in free bets. It's that freaking simple. So go do it. Pick a big favorite. Get those $200 in free bets, and then ride that throughout the playoffs or into the national championship, whatever you want to do. If sportsbooks aren't available in your state, that's okay, because DraftKings has plenty of free ways for you to get involved in the action, including the free shot at $1 million for all new first depositors. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code PFF. Bet $5. Any team to win, college or pro. Get $200 in free bets if they are victorious with promo code PFF. Must be 21 or older. New Jersey, Indiana, Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit, $1 wager required, one per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Seahawks, Cardinals. The Cardinals, I believe, playing for a potential seed, and obviously potentially the division.
Yes.
If the Niners can beat the Rams. So these games are going to be at the same time. They're going to be at 4 p.m. Eastern. You can bet your bottom dollar on that. The Seahawks playing for dignity, apparently.
Finally.
I'm sure as hell aren't playing for a draft position. I have the Cardinals favored by 6.5 points.
I said 9.5.
They are favored by 6.5 points.
What?
So you like
I like the Cardinals. But I can see the Seahawks playing spoiler.
The Seahawks, this is the Super Bowl for the Seahawks. They got nothing left. They're used to going to the playoffs.
So they're going to throw a pick at the end?
Yeah, exactly. In Glendale. In Glendale.
Yeah. Okay. I don't have. I'm not going to take the point. I'm not going to take the points of a team that has nothing to play for against a team that has something to play for. I know that there's going to be a game, and we all know that there's going to be a game, much like in 2017 when the Bengals beat the Ravens and knocked them out.
Yep.
You know, Tyler Boyd touchdown catch and all that stuff. But it's sort of the birthday problem. I know that's going to happen. I can't pick. It's hard to pick which game is that's going to actually be the case. But I think the Cardinals are a lot better than what they had done in their 3 or 4 game losing streak. And I think the Seahawks, they gave up 29 points to Tim Boyle today. So,
yeah, I wouldn't overreact to the Seahawks' destruction of the line. So I can kind of get on board with that. I guess the worry is, of course, that the Cardinals are still throwing the ball to A.J. Green predominantly as a wide receiver one. 49ers at Rams. Let me just say this real quick about Kyler Murray. That dude has continually improved his passing each of his seasons in the NFL and is a legitimately elite thrower of the football now. And that kind of was a narrative at the beginning of the season and has gone away. He's continued to play.
By the way, somebody just tweeted out the times.
Oh.
So the 4 o'clock games are Seattle, Arizona, New Orleans, Atlanta, New York Jets, Buffalo, San Francisco, LA, New England, Miami, Carolina, Tampa. The 1 o'clock games.
Well, yeah, we know what the 1 o'clock games are.
There are some meaningful games in the 1 o'clock slate, including Tennessee, Houston.
Yep.
But all the meaningless games are played at 1. There are some meaningful games at 1 too.
Rams, Niners. What'd you have this one at?
Rams, Niners. This is a big one. Yep. I had the Rams laying 6.5.
I had the Rams laying 5.5. I am correct. It is 5.5.
Ooh.
Look at me. On the money. I know my
I think
NFC West.
Green Line's going to like San Francisco in this
I know.
game.
And I too, Eric, like San Francisco in this one. Look, Trey Lance wasn't amazing in this game.
It's Trey area. That's what he was.
But he was.
I want him to be Trey Volume one of these times.
Stop it. No, absolutely not.
Add a dimension.
The pick was ugly, but I was encouraged. Of course I was encouraged. Made some throws down the football field that were not atrocious. Made some throws that Jimmy G will never make in his entire career. And yes, it was against the Texans, so it doesn't really matter. I love Kyle Shanahan and Trey Lance
deeply
against Sean McVay and the Rams.
Okay.
Especially with the Niners playing. The Niners here are playing for the playoff spot. The Rams are simply playing for
seeding. Well, no. The Rams need to win to make sure they clinch the division. So there's a lot of motivation on the Rams side.
Still seeding, though.
Yeah, for sure. But like it can drop 4 seeds in one with a loss but yeah.
They're still going to be in the playoffs is my point. The Niners here, it's all or nothing. They go home, they're fishing if they don't win this game.
Yeah, Shanahan rooting if they lose, rooting for one of his old teams, the Falcons.
So can I say this though? If I'm not sure I would bet it right now because I think there's a chance that Jimmy G tries to play in this game. And if he does, I'm not betting on them. I can't. With like a broken hand.
He looked great against Tennessee.
Thank you. Sunday Night Football is Chargers-Raiders.
No. We have one more game.
What game?
Washington versus New York Giants.
No, we skipped over that.
Oh, okay.
Because it doesn't matter.
Well, no, I just wanted to make a claim that the Giants are the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah, you already did that.
Okay. Do you agree with me?
Yes, I do. Before we get to Sunday Night Football, Western and Southern, they're helping you have the ultimate game day feast for the biggest game of the year that happens on February 13th, 2022. And all you have to do to win a $2,500 catered meal from the restaurant of your choice to be delivered to you is to ask Chris Collinsworth a question. And you do so at westernsouthern.com/askchris. You can ask him anything you want. A lot of people on Twitter wanted to ask him why he loves Aaron Rodgers so much. I don't know if you watched Aaron Rodgers play football. So I wouldn't ask that question. But ask him something. Could be about football. Could be about your financial future because that's what Western and Southern can help you figure out. And they can do so pretty seamlessly. So go to westernsouthern.com/askchris. You'll be automatically entered to win that fully catered meal. And you can go check out the Chris Collinsworth podcast and hear the question that he answers and see if it is yours on YouTube or on Western and Southern's Instagram channel. All right, Sunday Night Football, Chargers-Raiders. I have the Raiders favored by 2.5 points.
Yeah, that is where I am too. No. The Raiders are 2.5-point underdogs.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I have.
Interesting. I don't know. They're at home.
They're at home.
The Chargers don't have fans, so like.
Right. Well, the Chargers had the home game first, and all the LA Raiders fans
right showed up.
Yeah. That's like the beauty of having been in 3 cities as a franchise. You have all these fans that come everywhere.
Yeah, I guess. So my feeling was this could have been on either side, but less than 3.
So here's what I'll say about the Raiders. Offensively, the Raiders have been horrendous this year since Henry Ruggs,
Well, and Darren Waller. I mean, I think Darren
Waller's a big one too, for sure.
Loss.
But today they got 13 points really quickly, and then after that it was basically like a grind to get the next 10. And that to me, you look at their last few games, so 17 games in a win against the Broncos, 16 points in a win against the Browns team that had no players due to COVID. Right. 9 against the Chiefs, 15 against Washington football team. They did have 36 against the Cowboys on Thanksgiving, 13 against the Bengals, 14 against the Chiefs, 16 against the Giants, the worst team in the NFL.
So you just think the Chargers come in here and dump truck them?
I don't think they dump truck them, but I do think they should be favored. I might take the Raiders on a teaser at 8.5 because I think that this game is going to play very Chargerian, where. Well, here's the thing. Here's the one data point about the Chargers that I keep coming back to. Why do the Chargers do this to us? They're a top 5 team in the NFL, top 5 worst team in the NFL in percentage of targets that are contested. The Raiders, if nothing else, have good secondary players. Hobbs, Hayward, they do a good job, and the Chargers aren't deep at wide receiver. They go Mike Williams until he gets hurt in a game, and Keenan Allen. That's it. So, I do think the Raiders match up okay. Plus, the offensive line for the Chargers has always been kind of banged up, not as good as they could be. And obviously, when you come at them with Max Crosby, you come at them with players like that, Yannick Ngakoue on the other side. They could do enough to slow this thing down. Derek Carr has just simply not been good enough. Mm-hmm. And that offense has simply not been good enough. So that's kind of where I sort of end the conversation, I guess, as far as with the Raiders being all that confident in them. Now, getting points, I kind of like.
Here's the thing. Everyone and their mother
likes the Chargers.
Likes the Chargers.
Every week, though.
everyone. You see this game. You see how the Raiders have played. The Chargers just beat the brakes off of who did they play today? I can't remember who they freaking played
Denver.
Today. Denver, yes. 34-13.
They had a pick. They had an interception. They had a few interceptions. They had a kickoff return for touchdown.
They crushed the Broncos, right?
Yeah.
Okay, everyone's forgotten the fact that they lost to the Texans. Look, they've beaten the Chiefs this year. Okay, all that stuff. And everyone and their mother is going to like the Chargers. Less than 3, Justin Herbert, better quarterback. The Chargers are loaded. I'm just saying. I wouldn't be so sure. Derek Carr, for all of his foibles, still
having a good year. On balance,
An 80
yes.
PFF grade, is top 10 in our quarterback power ranking metric. Has made more big-time throws by a significant margin, nearly twice as frequently as Justin Herbert has this year. That will surprise a ton of people. And as you said, their defense is not the complete sham that it was last year. They have players on defense.
Our simulation had the Raiders with 9 wins, and that was the most off-market we were on any win total, and they are now at 9 wins. Now that we've gotten a little lucky because of the COVID stuff with the Browns, but the Raiders are better than people think, and I'm looking forward to teasing them this week.
I'm there with a teaser. I also sneakily like the Raiders. Just money line. Let's do it. That was the podcast. We appreciate you guys for hanging out. We love you all. We'll be back, of course, on Wednesday evening to pick the lock of the week, which, please, God, let's make it happen. Anyways, stay safe. Love y'all. Peace.